Welcome to Talking Voiceovers with me, Gail Goslin. Today we'll be interviewing Lindo Vilakazi, who's going to tell you what it's like recording voiceovers in the studio with clients, how to warm up your voice, and how to spruce up your home studio. Hey, how are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Gail.
Tell us your story. How did you come to be into voiceovers?
I'm from KZN, Ulundi. After matric, I essentially went to Boston Media House. Yeah, that's the school that we went to. Studied, did a bit of radio as a major, and then I left or finished the entire course. When I did finish the course, then a lecturer by the name of Carl Kikilis, he was actually the one who, planted a seed, for lack of a better word. He would just go off on these tandems because he was like in radio and he also did like emceeing. He also did a bunch of other things, voiceovers included. So he would just give us nuggets now and then in between the classes. So within those nuggets, I think that's where it started. And then from there on, obviously, internships and all of that. Fortunately, I interned at a place, production company, or was it the TV network company? And in that, they were doing production. And every day I would see different voice artists coming in the studio, doing their thing and leaving. But I wouldn't go into the studio. I would only see them going in the studio and then leave after like
Yeah.
30 minutes to 45 minutes. And what are these guys doing there? And then I asked one person. One day I went in and there was another voice artist there by the name of Buhle. Yeah. I just started chatting to him and, one thing led to another. I moved from that production company to the next production company and I met up there with Lebu Mochori. You had him on your show the other day. Yeah, he was actually the one who, for lack of a better word, packaged me and coached me into how to, do voiceovers and the different techniques, the different styles, and what client wants when they say, I want you to sound uh, just like you're talking to a person. So to be able to understand those things, and then 5 years later, here we are with you, Gail, on your beautiful platform.
So you learned on the fly then. You didn't get formal coaching. You learned with Lebo and doing what you do.
Yeah, so I didn't really get formal coaching. I think everything that I got, because not only was I learning from label, because of my unique situation and unique positioning where I was actually in that production company booking voiceover artists. So not only was I getting the down low when it comes to voice, the actual art of voicing, but I was also getting to understand the behind the scenes, the PMA rates, the different types of companies that are there, and the different types of voiceover artists that are there also, and what these agencies are looking for, etc., etc. So in that way, I didn't get formal coaching. So I literally learned on the job while I was doing the job. One day I had an audition. It was a Zulu audition. I went in there just after a day's like a night's training with Ule because I could only go to him after 6 after work. And went in during my lunch hour. I did my best, but unfortunately, I didn't get the job. But what I did get was the fact that now I know that I can actually do this. And from the training, it was my exam, for lack of a better or like a lack of a better word. That's when I was getting it and understanding that, oh, okay, cool. I can literally do this thing. And then it flowed from there. So it wasn't the formal route of you go to a voiceover academy, and then from voiceover academy they introduce you to clients. And no, it wasn't like that. So I was introduced to clients before the training.
And you have to do lots of auditions. Do you still do lots of auditions?
No, no,
Now
not
you just
not.
get them like that.
I can't. Well, at first, like I had to do a lot of auditions. I don't want to lie. I don't want to take away the importance of auditions. I used to do a lot of them. So the students at AAA had some sort of relationship with my agent, and so we would do like pro bonos for their assignments and all of that. So I also used to do that, and that was like passion. But because I loved it and I wasn't getting the money back then, I would do it.
The auditions that you did, you were doing them in studio, face to face, or were you doing them online, recording yourself at home and sending through a file?
The online and home studio phenomenon just only started now because clients are only warming up to it now. Just after 2020. Before that, even if you did have a home studio, if you are in Johannesburg and the client is in Johannesburg, the client will want to see you there recording, you know. But I think that was also their way of being comfortable with the fact that it's easier for them to direct, etc., etc. But only now. And back then, yes, the auditions that I had to do, I would literally have to wait in line, get a script, with the whole nine, and there was no social distancing back then, so
No.
everybody was like in the passage, and you could see, oh, this is this guy, this is that girl, this is this guy, this is that girl, and you go in there. Yeah. So for me, I wouldn't really talk to a lot of people. I would just wait to go into the studio, and then that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
So the pandemic has changed a lot of things. You've got a home studio now.
Definitely. Fortunately, and I have that. I'm privileged because of that. Actually, the funniest thing is that I had a sound card, mic, and then everything else. I just didn't have insulation and all of that until I remember lockdown was gonna be introduced in on it was gonna be on a Thursday.
Yes, 27th of March last year.
On that day, on that day, I got my insulation, like everything, because I knew that if we are being locked down, it's gonna be difficult for me to travel because
Hmm.
nobody's
Can't.
gonna now give you like a pass, a permit to travel and all of that. So I sorted out my insulation, found a room in the place, and then yes, from
So
there.
tell us then, what is the insulation that you've got in your studio? How did you soundproof it or treat it?
I actually got someone else to do it for me. They call it black something. I can't remember the actual term or
Black
so.
wool
Um,
or
Black
rock
wool, yes,
or
that's the
rock wool.
one.
Yeah.
Rock, yes, around there. I don't know the name of it, but it's kind of like the one that you have. So here's another thing. I made a lot of networks while I was working at those production companies,
Yeah.
and one guy that was working, he was actually Label's colleague. They were doing audio mixing engineer with another audio mixing company,
Hmm.
and then that guy moved and started doing like art studio setups and theater setups also,
Oh yeah.
and all other things. And then gave him a call. He gave me a good price, and it was literally before he left for Cape Town. So yeah, that's literally it. It
Networking is important,
wasn't, yeah, definitely,
not
Gail.
just for
In
clients,
this
but also for
industry,
suppliers.
for everything. I
Yeah.
mean, the voice industry in South Africa is not as huge. We know each other
Yep.
because it's like literally the same studios, and here in Johannesburg, you are bound to bump into another voice artist in the studio.
Hmm.
So it's not as huge, compared to the states and other countries. So it makes it easier for us to network if
Yep.
we are ourselves willing to network.
Do you want to mention the name of the guy who did your soundproofing for you?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
then we can
Timon
give him.
Smith, Timon Smith,
I'll look him up then.
Timon Smith.
Send some work
Oh,
his way.
but he's in Cape Town now,
Oh, but
so
that's fine. We've got voice artists all over the country.
that's the beauty of it. And we have Mzansi voiceovers on Facebook. So
Yeah, which is no longer just Johannesburg voiceovers.
exactly. And it's a great platform, by the way. It's a
Thank
great
you.
platform.
So, what type of voiceovers do you do?
Radio, hard sell, soft sell, TV, hard sell, soft sell, e-learning, audiobooks. Yes, I've done some audiobooks. Corporate reads vary. Some corporate reads want you to sound warm, some more harder than the other. IVR, I've done a bit of IVR, like your telephone and that type, like when you're calling a bank and or Discovery or whoever you're calling. And yeah, I've done that also. I think a lot of voiceover artists in South Africa more into like corporate reads and radio reads and TV reads, and not much into animation, cartoon characters, gaming, that's another niche that
Yeah,
it can be explored in South Africa. We can really explore it and exploit it the way that we want to, because it's
absolutely.
an untapped market.
And what is your favorite type of voiceover?
Movie trailers by far. Yeah, it's in a time, in a place. I love that. I love that. I love it so much. And um documentaries,
Mm-hmm.
like your Net Geos,
Yeah.
Net Geographic. Yeah, so movie trailers and documentaries.
If you're enjoying this interview, give it a thumbs up. How do you prepare yourself before you go into studio to record a voiceover?
Well, early in the morning I wake up.
Good.
I get my morning fix of warm water, or like if I have time, I do the concoction, honey, ginger, lemon, and warm water. You stir it up, you drink it, and then just hum, like hum low, hum high, hum medium, different types of hums, and then it just warms the voice up, or the vocal cords rather. It warms them up because like in the morning, some people have cranky voices, some people have like very deep voices in the morning, and some people have different types of voice of voices. They have different types of voices when they wake up, so it's just to get it lubricated, for lack of a better word. And then, yeah, I go into studio. I pray also. I pray before going into studios, and just praying over everything that I do and the day and my voice and the people that I meet, so that my sanity and my soul is still within me, and I don't get frustrated or angry, because you sometimes go into a voice session and you find like 8 people, and the 8 people have different minds of their own, and they have a different way of approaching a person or approaching the project that they're working on. And some people get really easily frustrated by the fact that this one is telling you, I didn't really like the way you said perfect. Can you not say perfect instead of perfect? It have so if you're a person who gets angered really quickly and easily, those things can get to you, because you are like in a small room, and sometimes it gets hard. You want to get this done, or you have another voiceover lined up. But if you are present and are in the moment, and just aware and have a right mindset, it makes it easier. You are then also able to help the client get to where they want to get to. That is my preparation. Probably took it way, 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 way off.
No, 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 no. On the contrary, it's all very interesting because not everybody
Mm,
knows what they need to do to get ready.
mm,
And also what
mm,
it's like to be in studio with so many people, because it's
it
different
can,
doing it at home. Do you
yes.
prefer being in studio with people directing you and giving you different instructions, or being at home in your own studio?
Funny enough, I love being in the studio with other people, because I think that's where you get the most growth. Even if you're here in your own studio setup, as long as like there's another person also listening to you and listening to how things are, because voice artists I've seen are very critical of how they sound and how they say specific words and where they put their pauses and where they breathe and all those things. And that can take a lot of time. And then you end up doing a 30-second voiceover for like 2 hours, just because you're like, you know what? I need to change this, I need to change that. But if you have another pair of ears, two, three, four, it makes it easier. It makes the process very easier. and fun also in the process, because you put in jokes in the middle and you have fun and you conversate and you also just relax. So yeah, I like it. I like going outside.
Sounds like fun. Do you get to do
Mm,
as much of studio work now that things have opened up a bit with after the pandemic?
yeah, no, definitely,
Are you back
definitely.
out
It's
there
opened
again?
up. It's opened up, but obviously with safety precautions and ma- spraying of the mics and the earphones and all of that. And but yeah, we do. I do.
Good. So you've continued having work despite the lockdowns. That didn't
Yes, no,
stop.
definitely,
That's great.
definitely. And having a studio also really helped. Yeah, it really helped because at times you wake up 8:30, you get a text for 10, and you're like, oh, you know what? Let me just rather do it here. And then you forget all about your preparations and your hummings. So yeah, the prep really it's a touch and go situation in voiceovers. It's really a touch and depending also on your clients. But if you know that you every day I get my bookings from 9:30, or the day before, it makes it easier. But if TV and radio are instant, everything needs to go in now at that particular time, or let me just say the time frame is shorter than like a corporate read or any other read that's outside of the scope of TV and radio.
So you mean the deadline? You have to get it
The
out. Chop
deadlines.
chop. All right.
Deadlines, yeah. People leave for QCs, guys, they leave and all of that.
So what mic have you got? What mic are you working with?
I'm actually working with a Focusrite. It's the 2i2. It comes in as a package. It's the mic. My headphones died, so I had to get other headphones. Yeah, but it's the Focusrite. It's the mic. And then a friend of mine gave me this. It's a PF8 Pro. It's a portable pop filter. So literally, the mic is inside. The mic is inside, and it's just like a studio. It's well insulated. The mic right there, so it's well insulated and all of that, and it gives you the sound of a studio in just this box. So some people can get this instead of just insulating their room, and because insulating can be very costly when you're
Yeah,
starting out.
that deals with the reverb from the room.
Yes, yes, but also the room obviously has to have something. It just mustn't be an empty room because it can still pick up because the voice might pick up every other bounce on the walls and all of that. But if it's a room with a couple of things, a couple of furniture, carpets and curtains, then you're good to go. You're good to go.
What is your advice for somebody starting out in voiceover? What would be the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Really start. If it's something that you want to do, if it's something that you want to pursue, this industry is an industry where you are judged on your previous work. It's not like you can come with a CV and say, oh, I've worked with this particular person and this particular person. It might give you some credibility, but you are essentially judged on your previous work. And the more you practice and train your voice, the more your voice becomes better for different reads, the more you understand the read that you need to focus more on, and the read that you are just perfect on, and then use that. But you can't get to that point if you are not recording. Record on your phone, get a mic at a secondhand store. Cash Crusaders has a lot of mics, whatever, but start recording. Listen to YouTube videos and YouTube adverts, the radio adverts, TV adverts, and mimic them. There's also scripts online where you can read. There's a lot of material. There's a lot of material out there. There's Umzansi voiceover people.
On
Yes, just
Facebook.
people who do voiceovers on Facebook that are from Zanzi. And there's a lot of information also there, and there's like a community. There's really no reason not to start. You should just start.
Just
Just
start.
start.
How do you think
Mhm.
someone can land their first job if they've never recorded before? How would a client pick them up?
So before it was, you would record yourself and do a demo, put it on voice bank. If you have are fortunate enough to have emails of certain production companies, you send those email or your clips to the promo producers, the directors, the creative directors. But voice me is also there. You can put your clips there. There's a whole lot of outlets or distribution outlets for voices that clients normally go to fish out for the voice that they want. So everything is on Google, man. You can just Google it. You'll find there's Voice Me. You'll find the production companies. LinkedIn is also a good tool to use because the people that are writing and conceptualizing and all of that, what we are reading, they're there on LinkedIn. You can find them there also. So there's a lot of tools essentially. It's just up to you which one you want to use and or which one works for you.
What agency are you with?
I am with Intertalent, Mandy
Intertalent.
and the team. Yes,
Alrighty.
Mandy, Rob, Kavita, and Kayla. There's not just one agency. Yes, I'm with Intertalent, but there's also a couple of good agencies out there that you can use and go for. So yeah, Intertalent is not the Intertalent is they have a good year on them. They have a good track record, a very impressive track record, and good artists. But if you had like the person who we are talking to had went to Intertalent and Intertalent said we're not taking at the moment, they can also go to other agencies or try again later, either or. There's a lot of agencies out there, contractors, legends, ONS, um, artist management, Kumkani, MLA also. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite so it's just doing your research and just come to your Facebook group, Zanzi Voice Over People.
And
You
ask the
can find
questions.
all of it there
Yeah.
and ask the questions. It's easy. Just come to the group. Just come
Yeah.
to the group, and you'll be filled. You'll come out with all the information that you need.
Do you edit all your voiceovers or do you send through raw audio?
Raw audio. But depending on the client's brief, but most of the time, clients already have people who are like professional who because there's literally a value chain in this. It doesn't just come to me out of the sky. There's a brief, the brief that is given by client to the production house. The production house has an account manager that liaises with the client, takes the client's instruction, gives it to their colleague who's a copywriter, a producer. You know, they have different names, but essentially they write the copy um, and create, uh, conceptualize the visuals if there's going to be visuals, conceptualize the sound design if there's going to be sound design, the graphics, etc. So the script, the graphics, the visuals, the sound design, then converge into what the client wants. And then when I come, literally I'm second to last in the whole process. So when I come, all of that is sorted, and by professional people who some have won awards and I have been doing this for quite some time and I'm very, very good at it. And then I get to that point either with the promo, the person who wrote the copy and the director and the account manager. Sometimes the client also joins in and then they direct the way that the voice must sound essentially. So we most of us are directed. They and they're doing great jobs at it because we come out sounding professional, but you also have to do your part as a voice artist of understanding, learning the different techniques, and learning your client, learning their language, how they express themselves. Because at times some people won't say do a soft sell. They'll just say, talk as if you're talking to Gail, and you're like, talk as if you're talking to Gail. What does that mean? So that obviously means a soft sell. But then don't sound like you're doing radio, So they say move away from the hard sell, be more conversational. So that's what they would say because they know how to talk in their like industry, and
Yeah,
we also know how to talk in our sub industry. So
you have to
we need
interpret.
to
Yeah.
exactly. So we're not
Yeah.
only just voiceover artists, but we're also interpreters.
If any of our audience want to reach you and ask you some questions, where can they find you?
They can find me on Nzansi Voiceover People in that Facebook page. I am there by my name, Lindo Vilakazi. So yeah, you can find me there, and you can find a whole host of different people with, people that are even smarter than me who have been doing this for quite some time that will give you great advice.
What languages do you do voiceovers in?
Two languages, isiZulu and English.
It's
So
great.
it's
You've got extra opportunities, one for each language.
no, definitely. And at first, while I was still doing training with Lebo, I was like very, very good with my isiZulu. So I would get a lot of isiZulu gigs. But as time went on, I was then able to, be great at both isiZulu and English. So now it's a fair balance.
Well, thank you for chatting with us, Linda. It was really super to
Awesome.
meet you.
Thank you, Gail, and thank you for just creating this community. I mean, you must do a voiceover artists never have year-end functions.
We're going to make that happen. We're going to have the Mzansi voiceover people functions when we can.
Yeah, but thank you so much for starting this and submitting to your calling of connecting people in your industry. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
Thanks. I'm really glad you enjoy it.
I really do. I check it out. I watch it. I watch it.
Awesome. Oh, that's brilliant. Well,
Awesome
thank you so
stuff.
much, Lindo. We'll see you on the airwaves.
Oh, definitely. Bye bye.
Ciao. Thanks for watching Talking Voiceovers. If you don't want to miss any of the following episodes, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button.